Hello my internet friends, Nabyet here. Well, with E3 2017 just gone and no mention from Bethesda of The Elder Scrolls 6, I thought in place of that we could have a discussion about when will The Elder Scrolls 6 come out, when can we expect it and what it might be like. I should mention, if you've clicked on this video expecting answers to the two questions, when will Elder Scrolls 6 come out and what will it be like, you're going to be disappointed because we don't know the answers to those questions, but it's still interesting to speculate, and that's what this video is going to be. Pure speculation and discussion. It's a bit of a one-way thing though with YouTube. Discussion, you call it a video a discussion, it's not really a discussion, it's me talking into a microphone and uploading it to the internet, so that's what the comments are for. So based on what I'm saying, hopefully we can have a discussion in the comments. I think broadly it's interesting to ask the question, why isn't there an Elder Scrolls 6 yet? It's arguably Bethesda's lead game. The Elder Scrolls series is kind of what they're most known for. It has the longest legacy of the company, going back years and years, and a devoted fan base that have been clamoring for new Elder Scrolls games pretty regularly since the release of certainly Daggerfall, going all the way back. So why haven't we seen it yet? It's an interesting question, isn't it? It occurs to me what's happened in the intervening years as technology has gone on and Bethesda has developed as a company. It's really grown hugely since, I think, Skyrim and Fallout 3. It's become a much bigger company than it ever was, and the scale of the games has kind of increased in tandem with that. I mean, they've always been huge, sprawling games. That kind of epic open world RPG, that's what the Elder Scrolls games have always been. But as you know, graphical fidelity and what we expect from that type of game has, I mean, can you imagine a scenario where an Elder Scrolls game, or maybe something scaled back, a DLC, came out with the regularity of something like COD, which has a release every year, for kind of Bethesda farmed out their development to various small studios and sort of staggered them. So we got an Elder Scrolls game every year. Would that even be feasible, or would it be something that we wanted? For me personally, I don't think it is what I want. I don't think a yearly release schedule like that could maintain the kind of quality and depth that you expect from an Elder Scrolls game. That being the case, answering the question when will the Elder Scrolls 6 come out is a difficult one, and how can we do it? I think we can look at precedent for some kind of indication of when we could expect the game. So looking at when the games came out, we got the Elder Scrolls Arena in 1994, then the follow-up Daggerfall, which is generally considered to be the one at which the franchise becomes, I think, a classic franchise. People liked Arena, but people really liked Daggerfall. And Daggerfall was 1996, that's 2 years between Arena and Daggerfall. Then Morrowind was 2002, so that's doubled, 4 years between Daggerfall and Morrowind. Then Oblivion in 2000, and let's stick to PC, because obviously console comes in here, and that might be something we can talk about as well. But Oblivion comes in on PC on 2006. So 4 years. 4 years between Daggerfall and Morrowind, 4 years between Morrowind and Oblivion. And then we've got Skyrim, which comes out in 2011. That's the big jump. Between Oblivion and Skyrim, there is a gap of 5 years. So almost a doubling of time that it took between Oblivion and Skyrim. In the intervening time between Oblivion and Skyrim, you had Fallout 3, which was a game in the kind of tandem series that Bethesda is known for, which also took a huge leap. And you could almost see it as Fallout 3 is kind of plugging the gap between Oblivion and Skyrim. And the big difference, of course, between Fallout 2 and Fallout 3 was that Fallout 3 went 3D. It really, went into the next generation, and new mechanics, many new mechanics, and things that would carry over into Skyrim. Too many to go into. But I think the reception for Fallout 3 really informed and was testing out some of the ideas that we would see in Skyrim when it eventually came. So that's worth bearing in mind, that kind of intermittent kind of fallout between the Elder Scrolls games. And they may have planned that. It's not to say that it took 5 years to create Skyrim after Oblivion. Maybe they could have done it faster, but they said, well, our strategy is going to be, we're going to have a Fallout game between the Elder Scrolls games. Maybe they decided that at that point. It certainly seems to have borne out. People talk about, oh, there's Fallout between the Elder Scrolls games, Elder Scrolls Fallout, Elder Scrolls Fallout. It's not actually the case. You had Oblivion, then you had Fallout 3, then you had Skyrim. So that's not really a precedent yet. It's happened once, but just so happens that it has happened again with Fallout 4. That has come out and there's still no mention of Elder Scrolls 6. So it does look like that it might be something that they're planning to do. But we've had Fallout 4 now. So that could be an indication that Skyrim, nearly said Skyrim 2, Elder Scrolls 6 is on the way. I mean, we know it's on the way. Everyone knows it's on the way, but I am not a clued in kind of person in the gaming industry. I know nothing on the grapevine, and I think they've been particularly tight-lipped. I think Todd Howard has said in an interview that the tech for the Elder Scrolls 6 is not in place yet. They're years away from being, ready. I think you have to take that kind of thing with a pinch of salt. It may be true that there is tech to do, but the idea that they haven't even put the foundations of the game in place yet and the technology is not ready. I'm pretty sure they've been developing it for years actively already. If they hadn't, they'd be crazy. But that's a layman's opinion, but they have to be. These games take years, and if you're not in preparation in a big company and actively developing, then you're going to be miles behind. So they are developing, but maybe there's some aspects of technology that need to be in place before they're fully ready for it. I don't know what that might mean. I think it might allude to VR, possibly full VR integration from the very beginning of Elder Scrolls 6. So must stop saying Skyrim 2. But okay, so so what can we glean from the release schedule? We can glean that it's gradually taken more and more time to release the games. That Fallout is going to come between the Elder Scrolls games, which is happening. So let's see when Fallout 4 came out, which was last year, I believe. 2015. So we've got a release of the Windows version. We're going to stick to PC because it gets too complicated if we go console. But we got Skyrim in 2011. Then we got Fallout 4 in 2015. That is 4 years. Could we be looking at, and if Fallout 4 comes bang in the middle between Elder Scrolls games, could we be looking at another 4 years for the Elder Scrolls 6? It's conceivable. That would make the gap between Skyrim and the Elder Scrolls 6 8 years. Well, it would kind of fit in, wouldn't it? It's a little bit depressing to think of it, but if that's not even a doubling of the 5 years between Morrowind and Oblivion, if we're going by that sense of things doubling as we go on, then it would mean we're looking at 10 years between Skyrim and the Elder Scrolls 6. So if we get it in 8, we're actually ahead of the curve in a way. So who knows? It's all speculation. Don't forget to comment in the comment section below. That's the point of a video like this, a discussion topic like this, to get people talking. I don't have the answers, but the discussion and the comment section is there for that kind of thing. But I do keep saying Skyrim 2, and that is an indication of the fact that Skyrim did so much better than the previous games. It was like a sea change in terms of the kind of expectation of people and the kind of sales figures. So let's have a look at how many copies did Skyrim sell? We're sticking to PC. Yeah, so looking at the statistics, I'm looking at basic kind of Wikipedia stuff at the moment, so nothing too in depth, but the Skyrim sales figures look to be about 20 million for Skyrim, and if you compare that to Oblivion, then it's sold by on Wikipedia by November 2011 sold over 3.5 million. So there's a massive jump from Oblivion to Skyrim. I mean, Skyrim is the kind of game that changed the landscape, I think, for Bethesda, and a lot of that is to do with console and the release on a more console friendly game from design onwards. You can see a big difference between Oblivion and Skyrim. It's obviously Skyrim is more designed for console, but the point of mentioning all this is to take us into the area of what will the Elder Scrolls 6 actually be like. So let's have a look at that. So far we've had the arena, which is kind of a weird Elder Scrolls arena, which was kind of like, it suggests it's some kind of battle arena or not, but it was pretty open, just a kind of you're in a dungeon and you have to work your way out of the dungeon. And then Daggerfall really opened it up into an open world. Then you go very specific with Morrowind, a specific place, which people kind of... Morrowind is it's so dear to people that I think they like that idea, and because it's not actually a precedent the Elder Scrolls games have set that you pick a place, a particular region of the world to focus each individual game on. That's only happened twice with Morrowind and Oblivion. So we've got Morrowind and then Cyrodiil and then Skyrim. So I suppose by the third you kind of, right, that is what we're doing. We're picking regions to set things in. But with the success of Skyrim, and unfortunately in this day and age name recognition is so important, do people recognize the Elder Scrolls as much as they recognize the name Skyrim? So for Bethesda, those kind of sort of marketing decisions that companies have to look at, name recognition is very, very important. So if they don't have Skyrim in the title of the Elder Scrolls 6, will it sell as well? That's a topic for debate. Let me know what you think down below. I think they can go without the name Skyrim, and they could just come up with a new land. Is it Vardenfell? Seems to be the one that people think that's where the Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be set. So the Elder Scrolls 6 Vardenfell. But it's interesting to think, they could go the route of another game set in Skyrim. I don't think they will. But the cachet of Skyrim, and it's an interesting thought experiment to think, well, let's think about that. If they did go, right, we need to set it again in Skyrim. People love Skyrim so much. What could they do? Take the timeline forward, maybe? See those places that you're already familiar with and how they've changed over the years, or take it back in time. If you went further back in time, what would the landscape of Skyrim look like? Even bleaker. I suppose we've got the Elder Scrolls Online for that, so they might not go that route. So I think we need that long lead time. I don't think there's any way you could release the Elder Scrolls on a regular basis. You could, but the quality would suffer. I think it's one of those massive sandbox games that people want to remain massive, and that means a lot of development time. Actually, in terms of kind of the open world, coupled with intense, highly scripted, dialogued quests that are very in-depth, those two things married together. Very few games do this, and they're the big games that can actually pull this off. They say, we are going to do both. GTA 5 springs to mind, the Elder Scrolls springs to mind for the Fallout series. Two of those are Bethesda. That's Bethesda's thing. But it leads to these long lead times. But more broadly, I think in terms of what will it be like, it'd be interesting to look at some of the games that have come in the meantime. And one of the big ones that we saw the influence of in Fallout 4 and also towards the end of Skyrim's lifetime is Minecraft. Minecraft starting to emerge, and the idea of people being able to create their own home in games. We saw that with Hearthfire in Skyrim, and then Fallout 4 definitely tried to integrate that a lot more. I wonder if that will still be the case when it comes to the Elder Scrolls 6, whether we'll see more of that. I mean, it was definitely housing, was integrated into Fallout 4. Something about it, though, I'm not sure. I feel like my gut says that it's not an integral part of the game, that you could do without it. And in terms of Hearthfire for Skyrim, that's pretty basic, pretty half-assed. They could have done an awful lot more with that, but it was DLC and it came later in the lifespan of the game. I wonder if with the Elder Scrolls 6 we might see a much more robust ability to interfere with, to fiddle with the world, not just in terms of the small enclaves. I wonder if you could actually, the whole world could in some sense be terraformed. It's possible, certainly with the magic in Skyrim. You could do it magically. Let's say you raise a hill in the middle of a plain and build your castle on top of it. Could that be something that we'll see in the Elder Scrolls 6? I use Minecraft as a kind of a placeholder for this broader sense of gamers really having agency within a game world. That's definitely become a thing throughout the lifetime as the Elder Scrolls has been going on. That's been building and building and building. We see it with Minecraft. We see it with so many games like Rust and the survival games online. And building your own presence within a game. It's kind of been going along, and I think the Fallout 4 it emerged in a Bethesda game, but I wonder if it's really going to be an aspect of the Elder Scrolls 6 for them to have integrated that into these huge games that they're creating fully. It would be interesting to see. I'm going to stop saying the word interesting. I think that is something we might see, a more robust integration of creative tools for the player within Elder Scrolls 6. Let me know what you think, as always. But the strategy of making people wait, I don't think that was a note that I wrote for myself. I don't think it is a strategy. I think big companies like this have a timescale that they're working towards, and they know that they have it takes a certain amount of time to create a game, and therefore they map things out for years ahead. It's like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They've got it all mapped out to 10, 15, 20 years ahead, and they working along those lines. But I think with Bethesda it's kind of possible because of modding. Modding has a big influence on this, what the lifespan of a Bethesda game, this long tail, what they call a long tail of a game, how long it continues to sell after its initial release. And they continue to sell a lot because of modding. They're constantly being updated by modders and still being relevant, particularly with regards to Skyrim. Even though it's had multiple re-releases, special editions, legendary editions, so on and so forth. The real reason it is still relevant, and I know this as a YouTuber making YouTube videos, is that people are still very interested in Skyrim, and the reason they're interested in Skyrim is mods. If you are doing a vanilla playthrough of Skyrim on YouTube, no one is going to watch it. People are watching for the mods. They're watching for the stuff you've added to the game via talented creators, and to see you play in a new way. The ability of Bethesda to make money over a long period of time with a game that is constantly being modded, constantly being updated, is down to the mods and that continued interest from the community. But who knows? Maybe they continue to do it so that they'll make more money, and we're waiting for the next game. But for all the faults of these big companies, they make bad decisions sometimes, anti-consumer decisions. They seem a little bit unapproachable and a little bit kind of off in the clouds compared to the early days of something like Bethesda. Not off in the clouds, off in their corporate kind of fenced off machine creation of games. Seems less off the cuff than it was at the very beginning with things like Elder Scrolls Arena and Daggerfall. I still think that they want to produce the best games that they possibly can, and you have figureheads like Todd Howard, who are very passionate about creating good games. So yeah, I think the long wait is due to the fact that it takes a long time to create these games and to create a truly classic game. And that is the thing now with Bethesda and its track record. They're not in the business of releasing games anymore. It's not enough to just release a new game. They are expected to release a classic game. And I think that's part of the backlash for Fallout 4. Was it a bad game? No, not by a long stretch. There was some really good updates. The gun combat was much better. The world looked a lot better. There was housing. There was features in that game. But the general consensus opinion is Fallout 4 is not very good. Well, it is good, but it's not a classic. And that's the thing. The Bethesda is now, with its franchises that we have to wait half a decade for, at minimum, between games, is expected to release a classic. And anything short of that will be seen as a failure. That's a huge pressure and expectation coming from the world at large. And if you don't meet it, woe betide. Woe to you, Bethesda, if you don't meet it. So in summation, the Elder Scrolls 6, when will it come out? I don't know. But if I had to hazard a guess, maybe 2 or 3 years. Let's go for that. Let me know what you think in the comments. As I say, this is a discussion video, something a little bit different for me, but I think it's a topic people will be interested in and try to think of ideas. And what will it be like? Tell me that as well. I want to hear what you think. I've given you my ideas. You can give me yours below. All right, thanks for watching and listening. I have been Napier. It's been great talking to you. I hope you enjoyed this video. You can let me know that as well, and I will see you in the next one. If you enjoyed this one, I'm going to do more discussion topics, so let me know what you thought down below. See you guys later. Bye for now.
David.